Hello. Welcome to a chat with Matt. I am Matt, here to bring you another new random stranger for you to learn everything about. Uh, Tonight we have a guest on. Her name is Kirsten Overby. I hope that I said that right. If not, she will correct us when we get her on here. First, I'm going to go ahead and introduce my co-host Eugene Emery.
Hey,
Hi, Eugene. You're all shaved. What happened?
well, accidents happen. Weed whacking in the winter.
Yeah,
We'll get you.
that'll happen. I assume you had to do that because you went back to work.
Oh no, work's pretty lax with it. Just
Oh, okay.
I like breathing at night. I have a CPAP mask and just
Oh, that's right.
full
Yeah.
seal.
Yeah, I forgot I have to have a conversation with you about that because I'm supposed to be getting one here pretty soon and I want to know if it's worth it.
Oh no, yes. The answer is yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you're going to have to tell Michelle because she doesn't seem to think that it is. So all right, let's go ahead and we'll get our guest in here. If you want to reveal yourself to the viewers. Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, we're just dandy. We're excited to have you here. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to be here.
Good. Suppose we should just start by getting out of the way how we know each other. We did just tell Eugene. Now we'll tell all of you. We actually just met last year. We have not met in person, face to face. So this is the second person that we've had on the show that I have not actually met before, face to face. Uh, Kirsten is it is Kirsten, right?
Kirsten.
Kirsten. Okay, sorry.
Kirsten. All right.
And I know you have told me that before because I've asked, but in my defense, I was drinking when I asked. So, now I'm just starting to drink, so it should stick in my mind. But Kirsten is engaged to one of my wife's friends. So that's really it. That's our super exciting story about how we met. But I just knew from talking to you the little bit of time that we have talked, like you have a really interesting life. You seem like a very interesting, educated person, and I wanted to get to know you a little bit more. So that's why we're here.
Well, I hope I'm interesting. I hope I don't bore you all this evening, but we'll see.
Well, if you do, we'll just blame Eugene.
Good for it. I'm good.
Eugene, if you sense that things are like kind of going downhill, just get that shirt off, okay? All right, so we'll start off. You grew up in Oak Park, Illinois,
hmm
which is a village just outside of Chicago, from what I read. It seems like to be a super liberal place.
hmm
Uh, do you know when you were born what your parents were doing for work?
uh, so, yes, I was born in Oak Park, Illinois. My mom was working in the city for a small test marketing research company named Bases. She was a project manager at the time, I believe. So Bases was eventually bought by AC Nielsen, which does like the television ratings, just to give you a sense of like kind of the
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
But she worked with like Johnson and Johnson and all that, testing products. And then I actually have no idea what my dad did. He did a variety of things when I was little. For the most part, I remember him being a security guard and like a stay-at-home dad, but I'm not really sure what he was doing when I was born.
Okay. Do you have any siblings?
I do. I have an older sister who's about under a year and a half older than me, and an older brother who's 4 to 5 years older than me, depending on the time of year.
Oh, wow. Okay. All same parents, I would
Mm-hmm.
assume. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So your parents divorced when you were 3. So I'm guessing you don't remember your life very much when they were actually together. Uh, and you've told me that after you turned 18, we're just going to jump ahead just a little bit to cover this. After you turned 18, you actually took your mom's last name. You went to court and had it legally changed. So I'm guessing you didn't have much of a relationship with your dad growing up.
Um, well, no, I didn't, but that's not to say that I didn't love my father. I was definitely, when I was a child, I was definitely a daddy's girl. Like when I was the youngest, and anything I wanted, I got. I got the curly fries from Taco Bell, the cinnamon whatever. and we went to Walmart and I wanted a candy bar and I got it. I got everything I wanted. He was definitely my number one. I remember the first outing that we did after we got divorced, or they got divorced. We went to do putt-putt with him, and I turned to my mom and was like, see, daddy's nice now. Can you come back home? It's like, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
That said, he had some pretty serious mental health issues, which is what really drove the divorce. So like in the paranoid schizophrenic level of mental health issues. So he kind of like was gone for very large chunks of my life, like years, and then would just kind of like randomly pop up. So it wasn't that I didn't love him or respect. It wasn't like a diss on him. It was more that I felt larger kinship with my mom's side of the family.
I gotcha. Do you still talk to him?
He passed away in 2016.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was very sad.
I can imagine. Yeah. Luckily, I've never had to deal with it, but I have had friends who've had like their parents, one or the other, like have had those kinds of issues, and I've seen how hard it is to deal with, especially if they don't want to take care of it, the person who's suffering from it. So yeah, that's rough to grow up with. So in the notes that you gave me, you said your mom traveled a lot, and because of that, she got tons of miles, and you got to travel. So, what are some examples, like any examples of where you went and what you saw?
Yes. So this started about the time I was in middle school. Her company asked her to go to Oxford, England, to be like to go train people for like 3 months. And her kind of deal with the company was, sure, I'll go do this for 3 months in England if you fly my entire family to visit me halfway through and give me an apartment big enough that they can stay with me when they come to visit. And of course, this was before the economy totally crashed, so the company did it. And so when I was in middle school, I was fortunate enough to go to Oxford, England, and it was gorgeous and beautiful and a very approachable first study abroad, or not study abroad, but going abroad experience, obviously, because they speak English.
Yeah, you got to start with the easy ones for us and then work your way out.
Right. And it's like, you see the movies and you're like, oh yeah, the British culture is it's not really similar, but it was very approachable and easy to digest as an 8th grader. And that really continued the entire time throughout my high school career. So the next year they asked her to go to Mexico City. And same kind of deal. If the company flies out the family, sure. At that time, I was really the only one who was young enough to ditch out on that much school. So it was just me and my stepdad that went, but I was able to go to Mexico City, completely different experience. I didn't speak any Spanish. I learned maybe 20 words so I could get around a little bit, especially because my stepdad wouldn't learn a single word. And that was really interesting because of the ancient ruins, and it's the first time I had wheat lacoche, which I don't know if you know what that is, but it's basically a corn fungus, but it's a delicacy. They eat it in tacos.
Interesting.
Oh. I thought you were going to say maybe it was like the peyote.
No.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Now, Eugene, do they have anything like that in your homeland?
My homeland of America?
of Conneaut, Ohio? Can you think of any strange funguses that they maybe eat around there that are a delicacy?
No.
So Mexico City, any other places?
Yeah.
Oh boy. So you were ready, because we're going to get to when you were in college, or college, you studied abroad. You were well prepared. You knew what you were getting into.
Wait, so what were the most important words you had to learn while you were there?
Like I mostly learned like numbers and pesos so I could barter to buy junk I no longer have from
Oh, gotcha.
vendors.
I was thinking more like cervezas, agua, tequila,
Well, I was only in high school, so
the menu.
I didn't have any cervezas. Um, but yeah, agua, baño, stuff like that. Just really basic words that everyone knows that I didn't know back then. And of course, I studied French in high school like an idiot in college, so I didn't know anything. Yes. So then after that, her company was like, okay, enough of us paying to fly your family out. But at that time, she started traveling worldwide, and she would go for like 3 weeks at a time, like every 6 weeks or so. I think it was a lot. She was gone a lot. And that's when she racked up the miles. And so then one year, it just so happened that spring break was overlapped with a business trip that she was taking to Hong Kong. So we went to Hong Kong, and I took another week off, and also went to Japan with just my mom. And I was just kind of there by myself, wandering around, not knowing any Japanese whatsoever.
Well, he's getting cultured, or somewhat cultured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just traveling abroad, you know?
Yeah. I mean, and every place that I went was so different and unique, and beautiful in its own way. Unfortunately, I was a junior when we went to Japan, and I was not a sushi lover back then or an adventurous eater at all. So I remember eating like Italian and Vietnamese food, but I don't think I had any Japanese food while I was in Japan,
Wow.
which is really unfortunate.
Was it weird buying things out of vending machines all the time?
I never did that. I did go to a Starbucks because I wanted a coffee, and that it was just hard to even order at a Starbucks. Like, see, I was in high school. I don't know. I wasn't getting the full experience for sure, but especially because I was wandering around by myself.
Yeah, it's challenging dealing with people who, like, when you don't speak the same language, because I remember working at Pizza Hut and having some, I don't know what they were, so I'm not going to even guess. They were Asians. They did not speak English at all. And I remember, like, them trying to, explain to me what they wanted. And I'm pulling out a menu, just like going through, like, this one? And then it's like it came down to pay for it, and it's so expensive that I'm like, these guys definitely think I'm ripping them off, which I am, but I'm doing it legally because corporate tells me to. So it is difficult, but it's also really satisfying when you speak to somebody, or like when you interact with someone in another language and you actually get through to them and you kind of communicate. Because that was something else I had to learn when I was working in the hospital as a transporter, and I'd run into patients who spoke Spanish or whatever language, and I'd have to like communicate to them what do I need them to do, what can they do, and it was always really satisfying to actually find that level where you guys can communicate with each other.
Oh yeah, and like nonverbal communication is huge when you're traveling abroad. Absolutely, I completely agree with that, and it's largely effective. Can't necessarily get exactly across what you want to say, but it's possible.
Yeah, I remember being in Niagara Falls, and there's this family behind us, and like I could tell they wanted to get up there, and so like I got out of the way, and they didn't speak English, and like I got out of the way and kind of like went somewhere else and looked, and then the dad like looked over at me and he waved and smiled, and I was just like, that was my whole trip right there. Like, as dumb as that is, like Niagara Falls is right there, and I'm just like, that foreign guy, we just had a moment.
It's kind of funny when you're traveling abroad too, what you kind of pick up to, because like, of course, I don't speak Mandarin or Cantonese or Japanese at all. My brother did take Japanese in high school, so he was able to teach me like konnichiwa, like normal phrases. But the one thing I remember to this day, I remember from Hong Kong is, so they do speak English in Hong Kong, but on the subway, they would say it in English, and then they would say it in Mandarin, then they'd say it in Cantonese. And it was, please stand back from the doors. Sing McGaugun Simon. Like, you just, like, you take it enough and you pick it up.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But,
so where to after that? Or well, let's stick into high school though. Like, let's not go past high school because I want to talk about that a little bit. But
In high school, I went back to Mexico City once more, this time with my sister. And I went back to England once more, this time to visit my sister who was studying abroad for her program.
Okay.
But that's it. That's all of high school.
Okay.
But I feel like that's a lot of times to go internationally.
Oh, definitely.
And you're really not from a wealthy family at all.
That's it's impressive. So you said you have a stepdad. Your mom remarried. How old were you?
I was going into 5th grade.
Okay. Do you have a good relationship with him?
Oh, no.
No. Okay. Really? I kind of thought maybe you didn't when you were talking about how you refused to learn any Spanish words. So, yeah. Well, that's okay. We don't have to talk about it. I was just wondering.
Here, we'll go for a quick palate cleanser. Matt, what are you drinking?
It's from Rheingeist. It's called Panther. It is a robust porter.
Ooh.
It's all right. I think the neighbors might have got these and left them over, and I didn't have anything else in the fridge that wasn't super sweet, and I just wanted to have a beer while I do this. So they actually had 3 of them left. 1 down, 2 to go.
Kirsten, what are you having?
Oh, I have basic white girl white box wine.
That's absolutely...
the Franzia or the Franza. Or...
Oh, it's Boda box. So just like a slight step above. You know?
So I decided to participate in this part of the show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cleaning out my fridge. So we have a double wing IPA or double wing brewing company butter pecan porter.
Oh, wow. How is it?
I don't know. We're about to find out.
All right. Here we go.
Here goes the pour.
Oh, you just got to drink it out of a glass. Did you chill the glass too?
No, I'm not that savvy. She looks frothy like a porter should be. There we go. Ooh, still smells all right.
Good. How old is it?
You know what? I want to say maybe just over 2 years.
No, that's fine.
We'll see. Yep, still porter. Still
Good.
tastes like butter pecan in here.
Just a note, guys, I'm really an open book. If I can talk about my stepdad, I don't really care.
Oh no, that's okay. No, we're gonna keep it happy. We'll talk about happy things. I think so. I don't know. If it gets dark, it gets dark. We'll see what happens. I'm learning, so you could have a horrible past for all I know. And then I never went to Mexico again because when we were driving, I actually ran over an entire family, and my face is up on the walls everywhere. And so when you were in high school,
he's haunted by an Aztec god. That's why he's doing.
I was actually going to ask that when you went to Mexico if you stole an artifact and are now doomed for the rest of your life.
No.
You said you created more meaningful relationships with your teachers and your peers when you were in high school. So were you kind of like a loner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just, you cannot tell, and you've never met me in person, but I am 6'3".
Mm-hmm.
And I was 6'3" in 8th grade. And I was overweight for almost my entire life. So I was made fun of
as a 6'3" person?
As a 6'3" person, yes.
Well, were you actually overweight or just... Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm. And
I'll have to see some pictures. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Those are locked away. Even in the depths of Facebook, you cannot find them because I think I've untagged myself. I did have a Facebook in high school, but briefly. But yeah, no, it was not. I was just I was kind of touched on it, but didn't have a great relationship with my dad. He was he was abusive to my brother, and I watched it growing up, and then
mm-hmm.
cycle of abuse, and just was not a happy child at all, and hated my stepdad. hope my mom's not watching this, but she knows that. I was just like kind of like a bummed out kind of kid. And I think that came off, and I had no confidence. I was like overweight, super tall. Thought I was smart, but like I didn't make meaningful relationships at that time in my life. So my sister was my best friend, and I hung out with her friends and just kind of kept to myself a lot.
Gotcha.
Watched a lot of TV.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Um,
And Grand Theft Auto.
Oh,
that's the most important.
What was your first?
That's how you learn the street cred.
It was on the PlayStation 2.
So that's 3? Grand Theft Auto 3, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. That came out in 99, I think. Maybe later. I don't remember. Maybe 2000. Anyways, so you had said that when you were in high school, you figured out how to get out of your hometown, and that was to go to college. What was the rush to get out of your hometown? Just like what you were just saying, like because you didn't have any connections there, you just wanted to get away, or?
Oak Park is a wonderful place. It's a beautiful place. It's got Frank Lloyd Wright has his home and studio there, so it's beautiful Frank Lloyd Wright architecture all over this village. Like you said earlier, it's really liberal. It was voted like the best suburb for LGBTQ plus people to live.
Oh wow!
It's socially and racially and economically diverse. So where I went to high school had people living in $1 million mansions and people living in housing projects in the same high school.
Wow.
It was really a neat place to live and grow up. But yeah, I had a horrible relationship with my stepdad, and I could not wait to get out.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it was just bad. So I actually, me and my sister used to go to youth group. I used to be religious. ELCA Lutherans. But we would go to youth group, and we were allowed to take the car because we didn't have cars because it was Chicago, so only our parents had cars. And we would go to youth group, and my youth group leader, because we would do highs and lows at the beginning of youth group, my youth group leader said to me on more than one occasion, "Can't wait for you guys to get out of here." And then we would skip church and go to Caribou Coffee and get coffees.
There you go. Sounds great.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I wanted a new experience. I wanted something different.
Sure. So yeah, I understand the whole driving joke in Chicago. That's no fun.
Yeah.
I have relatives that live in Niles, so I go there every so often.
Yeah.
Sadly, it's been over 5 years, I think.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, I've been there once, and I know the thing I immediately noticed was how diverse it was. Just crazy. We were in, I don't remember what part we were in, but we were pretty close to, like, we were in walking distance of it's not Willis Tower. So it's kind of near there. And we just walked around. We were only there for one night, so it's not like we got a lot of sightseeing in, but it was cool. I wouldn't mind going back with someone who knew what they were doing there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just have this like chip on my shoulder about Chicago just because I have a lot of not great memories from back there. But it's also got a lot of really cool stuff. There are great breweries. The Lake Michigan's really cool. My other gripe about Chicago is that it takes you literally an hour to get anywhere you want to go. You want to go to dinner, it's going to take an hour to drive there. Like, it's just so big, and the traffic is so bad. It's just
so I'm guessing you don't really have a lot of contact with anybody from Oak Park anymore?
Not really, but funnily enough, my former roommate from Kansas City married someone I went to elementary school with, and she's awesome.
Oh, okay.
So I get to see them every once in a while. It's been a minute. They have a kid, so that makes it harder. But and I know we'll get to this, but I moved to Kansas City for Teach for America. And when I arrived in Kansas City, I hear Kirsten, and it's someone from high school.
Hmm.
And she ended up being one of the best friends of one of my other roommates. So I actually saw her at a wedding, at my other former roommate's wedding last year. So I still have like some contact with some
Yeah.
people, but it's not a huge priority for me.
I gotcha. It's a small world.
Yes.
um, let's see. So after high school, you ended up going to St. Olaf College in Northfield, Minnesota. And I looked that up, and it looks like it's about a 6-hour drive from Oak Park. So how did you end up going there?
Um, so in elementary school and middle school, I really freaking hated school. I just hated how they kept teaching you the same thing. And I was like, can we move on? Like, what is this? And now after going through an education program, I realized why they did that. But I found it really boring and repetitive. And so I hated school and I didn't really care about it until I got to high school. And then when I was in high school, I was like, okay, this is where I have to do well so I can go to a good school and get out of here. So I really just looked at small liberal arts schools that valued diversity and a worldview, because that's really what interested me. I didn't really know what I wanted to do or study. I just knew that I wanted a broad range education that would give me critical thinking skills. So, I sat down with my Princeton review and kind of just like read the top liberal arts schools, small liberal arts schools, and kind of circled the ones that I thought I could get into with my grades and GPA and class rank and all that. And 2 of them happened to be in Minnesota, Carleton College and McAllister College. And so we were going up there to visit those. And of course, my mom went to St. Olaf. And St. Olaf is in the same town as Carleton. And so after my interview and meeting with the people at Carleton, she was like, well, it's homecoming weekend at St. Olaf. Why don't we just stop by and you can see my old college? And then she's like, well, why don't we just stop in the admissions and just like see if we can talk to someone real quick? And of course, I got a tour and was like, okay, fine, I'll appease my mom, I'll apply.
Yeah.
And in the end, they gave me the most financial aid.
There you go.
That's
there you go.
The part.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful campus. And I am not going to be ashamed to say that aesthetics are very important to me. Yeah. I really thrive in a beautiful environment. So beautiful limestone buildings, just ivy, gorgeous. So
if you could have went, like, if you could have gone where you wanted to go, like, what's the number one place that you would have wanted to go?
I probably would have wanted to go to McAllister, which is also in Minnesota. I did apply all over the place. I didn't get to apply to as many places on the East Coast as I wanted because I didn't want to take the SAT.
Okay.
I only took the ACT, and so I was like, well, if they require the SAT, I'm not applying.
Sorry, Berkeley.
I hate standardized tests so much. So much. And on my ACT, I feel like I'm the only person I have ever talked to or met that has had this happen, but I got the exact same score on every single subject matter.
Well, I've never taken it, so I don't know.
Well, it was mandatory for us, but yeah, and I was just like, I don't want to put myself through the hell of the SAT. But McAllister College is in Minneapolis. It's very small. There was greater diversity at McAllister. St. Olaf is pretty upper class white.
Trying to say it's a little waspy over there?
Yeah, a little bit. We have a fight song. I don't know if this might be too much.
No, if you're going to sing, go for it.
We come from St. Olaf. We wear cashmere sweaters. We sit on the hill to get closer to God. We don't smoke. We don't drink. At least that's what they think. And under the covers, we yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, that's it.
Very good. Very
That's
good.
that good rendition.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
our second live performance that we've had on the show. Thank you so much. Wait, no, I forgot. We got to count Caitlin's impressions. So our third live performance we've had on the show.
I'm sorry to have subjected you to that. I really do apologize.
Nope,
but I think it gives you
enjoyed
a good sense of like the impression that St. Olaf gives
Yeah.
the world. But like McAllister was much more like granola. They had like a chapel where they had different services from different religions every week, and just it seemed a little bit more worldly to me.
Mhm.
But St. Olaf ended up being a great place to go.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about what that experience was like, and tell us what your majors were, because I know you had more than one, and minors. You were a very you were a real go-getter from what I could tell.
Yeah, I wonder what happened to that person. Yeah, I loved college a lot, and I think that's not always typical. But I think what I loved about it is that I was getting away from home, and I am a planner, and I am relatively organized, and I sat down my freshman year and I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I got all of my prerequisites out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
So within the first year and a half, I got all of my prerequisites done, decided I was going to be an English major, finished my English major by my junior year. Almost. I think I had one more class my senior. Yeah. And then I just loved art. I just love art. I've always loved art. I was a doodler as a kid, and my aunt got us a huge thing of like butch paper when we were kids, and we just like drew on this butcher paper for like years, because a huge roll of butcher paper is a lot. And I had really creative babysitters growing up who were like hippie bead making great awesome people into the Grateful Dead and stuff, and
yeah.
I really
scumbags, that's what you're talking about.
Oh, one of my babysitters growing up had a VW bus with like the pop-up at the top, and we'd play in it all the time. We go to the pool and you just like sit on her lap, no seatbelts, like just all right, see cop duck. Like,
yep.
He learned how to roll up doobies by the age of 8.
Yeah. Like it's like they had a pottery class and it was just making bongs and pipes and
yeah, so I just started like taking art classes. So I really thought I was an art major and I wasn't. And but I liked it, so I kept doing it. And then I had some room in my schedule because I was so organized at the beginning that I was like, well, let's look at some of these minors. And well, the sexuality matters marriage class counts for both my English major and this women's studies minor. And oh, look, this women in art history class counts for this women's studies minor and the art. And I just like sewed it together.
I gotcha. That's smart. I mean, get as much out of it as you possibly can.
Right. So, and then I studied abroad in the Middle East, and that was most of the Middle Eastern studies minor. So.
Okay, so that's what I was going to get to next. Your junior year, it looks like you went to Turkey, Morocco, Egypt, and Israel and Palestine, which sounds very exciting. What was that like, studying abroad, being there? And after that, I got another question about that, but you go ahead and answer that one.
Okay. Yeah. So it was the most magical experience of my life. Mm-hmm. I don't know if when you're a kid, like everything is new. Mm-hmm. And like you could go to the woods for the first time and you're like, wow, trees. Or like, I grew up in the city, so that makes sense to me. Or, you see the ocean for the first time and it's just incredible and amazing. Well, that was like 4 months of that.
Yeah.
Feeling.
Well, it depends on part of the ocean you see. If you see it in the north, you're like, it looks like a lake, a big lake. And it's not clear blue water, so you go towards the equator.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But yeah, it was just had this like not really a mantra, but it just became a thing. I'd be on the bus and we'd be like traveling through the red rocks of Morocco. And I just look out the window and be like, what is this freaking life I'm living? How did I get here? How did someone with my past end up here? And yeah, it was just truly amazing. Not to say that there weren't like really hard parts, but it was really, really great.
Did you stay in any hostels or?
So I actually went, it was a unique program because it was actually sponsored by my college. So there was a group of 17 of us who all traveled together with a professor and his wife. And they taught a course over the overarching entire semester. And then in each country that we were in, a local professor taught us a course specific to that country. So we stayed in all sorts. We stayed in hostels, we stayed in hotels. We had homestays. I stayed with a family in Morocco. In Egypt, we just stayed in this hotel. This program had been going on for 40 years when I did it. Unfortunately, it's no longer happening because I was one of the last groups to go because then the uprising happened. So this is 2009.
Wow. Well, lucky you.
Yeah. So yeah, we stayed in all sorts of different things.
Did you get to see the Gaza Strip?
I stayed in the Sahara Desert in Berber tents. I don't know. We were all over the place.
So when you were there, did you see the Gaza Strip then, or?
No, I did not see the Gaza Strip. So that was actually the end of the program ended in Egypt, and then there was about 7 of us who decided to go on to Israel and Palestine. We could not go with the college because of its designation, the US designation of it as like unsafe. So we waited for the program to end, and 4 of us actually hopped on an Egyptian bus and took the bus overnight across the Sinai Peninsula, and we crossed over the border in Taba. Which was just hilarious because my suitcase had broken at that point and we had to walk a mile to the border. And so it was just like scraping on the ground behind me.
Wow.
Ridiculous. But Gaza was closed off to all tourists at the time we were there. There was some tension while we were there. We did stay in East Jerusalem, which is the Palestinian part of Jerusalem. And we did go into Bethlehem, which is in technically Palestine. And then we also were able to get a guided tour in Hebron, which is a Palestinian territory that is currently being occupied by Israel. And got to talk to, well, it was that anyways, got to talk to the residents who live there. And we were actually there on a Friday, and every Friday the Israeli soldiers would march through the souk, which is the Palestinian like market, with their machine guns, like 5-to-1 Palestinians to Israeli soldiers. Kind of jarring, aggressive for sure.
Yeah. Wow. So, sorry, I got a little weird noise. I think it's my headphones. So from your time in the Middle East, like what is one of the, what's a particular memory that really sticks out for you? Like memorable, either like fun or frightening, or, something that really stuck with you?
Oh, there's so many.
Well, give me one or two. How about a funny one and a scary one?
Okay. I don't know if there was like a lot of funny. Sorry,
Yeah, well, it'd be hard to have a funny story. Like you're just telling us the Israelis, soldiers walking around.
Listen, it all depends on who you are, because I'm pretty sure I could have fun.
Oh no, we definitely had fun. So during the program, we were traveling a lot. We went, in Morocco. I don't know, Game of Thrones fans maybe, I'm not sure, but a lot of that was filmed in Morocco. So when I was watching, I was like, oh my god, I've been there. But, you know, we had fun. There were only 2 guys on this program. Everyone else was female. And of course we were.
They were exhausted, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially because you weren't supposed to go out without a male.
Oh, yeah.
If you could help it, it was just easier to go out with guys because like even the tourism police would try and like grab your ass and stuff. So, yeah, it happened. And like, that's the not so fun side of being there. But
so real quick, so is that like a sign of ownership or something? Like I mean, I know women are not, you know, they're a lower class of people over there considered, but I didn't know if that was like she has a man with him, so she's spoken for, we don't go near her or something like that.
Yeah, basically, I mean, it's a lot like if you go out late at night here, like
true, yeah.
You know, it's just
I get my ass grabbed all the time. It's so uncomfortable. And I'm always like, Michelle, where did you go? Don't leave me again.
I know, that's why we can't be in the same room.
That's right. Eugene is grab assing all the time. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. It's yeah, it's like an ownership thing. We actually wore like fake engagement rings while we were there.
Oh geez.
Didn't really work. But I think part of the
reason doesn't work here either.
Sometimes wearing them gets you even more.
Yeah.
I think part of it really was like a deep misunderstanding of American culture because they're used to American culture through music videos. And so I think some of it's just really warped perception that all American women are highly sexualized and don't mind it. Was what we were told when we were in Egypt. So, but like when we were in Morocco, we were told take a pin with you when you go on public transportation because you don't want to make a public scene. But if someone gets too close to you and starts touching you, you can prick him with a pin and he'll get the idea.
Wow.
So it was just kind of like you know, and also I'm 6'3" and blonde, and at the time I was 20. So I just garnered a lot of attention. We all did because we were all from Minnesota and tall and blonde.
Oh yeah.
Don't you know?
Where are them pyramids at? Okay. So let's see. What do we have here? Or was there more?
On a side note about that, though, one of my really good friends went on this trip with me. He happened to be Korean, and so when we went out together, it was not the same as if I had been going out with someone who was my like height and skin tone.
Yeah.
Because they would then talk to him and be like, "Why are you with her? I should be with her." So like we got harassed constantly. Now those were the bad things. I would like to tell you some of the good things if I can.
Okay.
One of the most magical experiences of my life was climbing inside of the Giza pyramids. I will never do it again.
Yeah.
But it was fantastic because it's a lot. I think my legs were on fire for like 5 days afterwards. But also, you walk in and it's just a tunnel and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller till you get to the middle. And so by the end, I was like crawling with my back and like the stone was scraping on my back. And I was like, I'm going to get stuck in here.
That sounds horrible.
But it was really, really neat. Really, and like the ancient Roman ruins that are in Turkey. It just fantastic. It was a fantastic experience. I wouldn't change it for the world. So anyways.
Sorry, I just got a message from Michelle. She just got called into work.
Oh.
God damn it. Oh, well, I'm sorry. I apologize. That's awesome. That's like I sit there, I'm listening to all these stories that you have in these different places, and it's like, I'm never going to go any of these places. So It's good. I need you to, I'm going to live vicariously through you. I would never do that anyways. I'm 6'3" too, and a much bigger person than you are. So there's no way in hell you're getting me in anything that gets smaller and smaller the farther you go.
Oh, believe me, I thought about it going in. Because they were like, it's one way, so you can't really turn back. And I was like,
Yeah. Oh.
I don't know if I can do this. I ended up doing it, but I was also 20, so I don't think I'd do it again.
Yeah. You're much more willing to do things when you're younger that could potentially lead to problems.
Yeah.
So after you graduated college, with your 2 majors, your 2 minors, you decide that you'd like to give back to the people that your teachers, give back to people what your teachers had given to you, and you joined Teach for America. So what exactly is Teach for America?
Teach for America is an organization that takes individuals who have shown leadership skills, who have no background, or you could have background in teaching, but mostly no background in teaching, and you have just proven yourself to be a leader in some way, capacity, and then they train you to become a teacher in 5 weeks.
Oh, wow.
We want you to lead, and now you got to teach.
Well, I mean, thinking about it, though, you got to be like, listen, you just spent, 16 years of your life, however many years of your life being taught, you should have learned a thing or two.
Right. So if you have a certain GPA and you have these certain leadership skills, and you show a passion for wanting to provide equitable education for all students in the United States or abroad, they have it abroad now too, they will invest in you. This nonprofit will invest in you and train you in a very specific type of teaching approach that is proven to work specifically with low-income students.
Okay.
So I had my training in LA, and I trained and taught summer school in LA public schools the summer after graduation. And then they placed me in Kansas City, Missouri to teach in the Kansas City, Missouri school district, which is how I ended up here. I had never been to Missouri before in my life.
All right. How long were you involved with them?
It was a 2-year commitment. And so I was really, really hoping that they would put me in high school. I wanted to teach high school English. Okay. Actually, in college, when I was trying to figure out, that weave of what I wanted to do, one of the things I considered was an education degree. But in order to get an education degree and study abroad, I would have not been able to be an English major. But I still could have taught English in high school. And I thought it was really absurdly dumb that I could get certified and teach English in high school without having had an English major in college. So I decided not to go that route. Okay. And I wanted to be a high school English teacher so much that I kept all of my materials for my junior and senior year English classes in high school. The rubrics, the readings, all of it. It's in a box. I still have it here in Kansas City. And then they put me in first grade.
I'll tell you what.
So
I used to work with some first grade teachers.
Yeah. So let's just say I completed my 2-year commitment with them.
So during all of that, you earned your master's in education. Okay. And where'd you go for that?
It was actually online, so it's not that impressive.
You did it
but it was University of Missouri, St. Louis.
Okay. You decided first graders are the worst. You don't want anything to do with them. And you join AmeriCorps?
Yes.
And what is AmeriCorps?
So AmeriCorps is actually in partnership with Teach for America. So I was kind of already in AmeriCorps.
Okay.
So, but this is Teach for America had a partnership with AmeriCorps, so you could get AmeriCorps benefits while you were doing Teach for America. But AmeriCorps is a different thing, and it's kind of like Peace Corps, but it's within the United States.
Okay.
And so the specific program that I did was AmeriCorps Vista, which stands for Volunteer in Service to America, which means that you're technically a volunteer working at a nonprofit that is capacity building and they pay you at the poverty line so you can experience what poverty is like.
Okay.
That sounds like a horrible.
Can you just give him a resume and be like, I know?
Yeah. So I worked in a youth serving nonprofit here in Kansas City that billed itself as providing service learning opportunities for students of high need. So not only were these students serving the community, they were learning about service and also gaining skills that would be helpful for their job prospects in the future. Mm-hmm. And then when I started, their only Kansas City branch was in Overland Park, which is in Johnson County, which is one of the richest counties in the United States.
Okay.
And I was doing fundraising and marketing for them. And it's really hard to fundraise for something you're not passionate about.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So that was not a super great experience for me. However, I did do a little bit of marketing and I did some of their graphic design for them, which is how I got to where I am now, basically. Got into graphic design.
Okay. How long were you involved with them?
That was another like commitment thing. So that was 1 year, and they offered me a second year, and I was like, no, thank you. Thanks, but no thanks.
Okay. So it looks like after this, there was a bit of time where you just kind of floated around. You were doing various jobs, trying to figure out what you wanted, basically. And while this is happening, your grandfather passes away. Now, I know you told me your grandfather was one of the most important people that you've known in your life, and I was hoping you could tell me a little bit about that and tell me about him.
Yes. I love my grandpa so much. This kind of goes back to a little bit more of that harder stuff we were talking about earlier about some of my childhood. And, you know, my dad has his own issues, and then I don't care for my stepdad that much. And then my brother was not always the best. We have a great relationship now. Mm-hmm. But basically I hated men. Mm-hmm. Like, really.
Understandable.
Yeah. And if it weren't for my grandpa being in my life, I'm not sure I would have ever been able to get over that, because he was a good man. And also, I didn't see a lot of super great relationships growing up. So, but the relationship between my grandma and my grandpa is something that I probably idolized too much just because I was a child and probably didn't know everything. Like, I hear from my aunts that, you know, it was very traditional male, female, don't talk about things that upset grandpa kind of relationship. But my grandmother had Alzheimer's and Parkinson's that got worse probably when I was about in 6th grade. And I used to go over there and just sit with her and do her nails. And I would stay with her so my grandpa could go to his like men's breakfasts on the weekends. And I saw how much my grandpa cared for my grandmother. And we just really built a really strong bond and relationship over how much I cared about my grandmother at that time. She was my number one person. Mm-hmm. And my grandpa was devout Baptist, and none of the church people came to be with my grandmother. But I was there all the time. So, you know, I said I was kind of like a loner in middle school and high school. I was hanging out with my grandparents. Mm-hmm. I was going over there. I like lived with them half time in middle school just to get away. My grandpa taught me physics. My grandpa taught me how to drive. He did all of my driving hours with me. Yeah. He was just always there for me and a good role model, solid role model. So actually, when I changed my last name, it was really to honor my grandfather.
Gotcha. I mean, well, my grandparents, you know, I was raised Catholic, and So, being that way, both my grandparents were, on both my father and mother's side, were Catholic. Um, so I got hit with the core family values, and it wasn't in the sense of like where I idolized them or had like a stronger. I feel as if you had a stronger connection with your grandparents than I did. Um, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, they were just there. My mom lived 20 minutes away from them, and if I ever anything got too like overwhelming at home, I could just go over there. And my grandpa would make me waffles on Saturdays, and he would tell me like stories about the war and like never about the war, about like the days he had off, like like the days he went into Italy and like the kids would like jump on him and steal all his cigarettes off of him.
That's funny you say that. Like I remember going to my grandparents on my dad's side. they'd always be sitting at the kitchen table. My grandfather had his side, my grandmother had her side. They had all their their papers and whatever. Between the two of them, there was a deck of cards, so that they're always playing cards.
Yeah, and like we just played games and like play Scrabble. Like he helped me develop a love of words. I was not quick to pick up on the reading as a child. But I really think the Scrabble and like him just challenging me and like playing words I didn't know and then defining them for me, and like all of this helped me become a better person. So
yeah, that's awesome. Sorry I missed some of the story. That sounded very. The dogs are barking, so I wanted to try to get them to be quieter.
For you, Matt, at least once per episode.
What was that, Eugene?
Hearing the wait for you at least once per episode.
Yeah, I like to find moments to let Eugene shine. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. So after this, you go back to school again. Where did you go and what did you take?
I went to the Kansas City Art Institute, and this is when I was pursuing my certificate in graphic design.
Okay. You got that. And then after that, you managed to get a job as a freelance graphic designer for Sprint.
I did.
So what did that entail? What all did you do for them?
Can I just like share one quick anecdote?
Yes,
that?
Please.
So I was doing all these weird random jobs while I was back in school, and the main one was being a nanny.
Mm-hmm.
And this was 2016, and things were getting tense in the politosphere. Mm-hmm. And this woman was driving me absolutely nuts. She was on The Apprentice for season 4, and eventually she put up a picture of her and her husband and Donald Trump in the living room. And I just like kind of snapped one day and put on Facebook, I needed a new job in a new apartment in a month, help. And that is how I got my freelance position at Sprint.
Wow. Okay.
So like a mutual acquaintance friend of mine knew that I was pursuing this graphic design certificate and was like, we really need help with freelancing. And so I hadn't even finished when I started with them. But social media and networking works great.
Yeah. There you go. That's everything I've been told is it's really not even about your education and what you know, it's who you know. And that's how you get places, get anywhere.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
But anyways, at Sprint, I brought on, it was really pretty boring work. I was basically doing quality control of mechanical art files that were going to the printer. So essentially they worked with 3 separate, this is boring. I don't know.
Hey, it's fine.
Everyone has different things, different walks of life.
Yeah. They were working with different agencies. They needed someone to make sure they were consistent. I was that person.
Okay. Yeah. And then you eventually got a full-time job there. Was it doing the same thing?
Yeah, it started as doing the same thing, but it expanded, and I ended up actually doing a lot of all of the promotional design for in-store retail. So all the like banners and stuff you would see in a Sprint retail store. Yeah. I did that for probably about the last year and a half.
And did you enjoy what you were doing with them?
It's corporate. I mean, yes, I did. I love that job. Because I love the people I worked with. I really enjoyed that job. And I enjoyed making processes and like following processes. I'm a very process oriented person. and in that way, corporate kind of works for me. I was able to like write guidelines and help develop the way that things would run in the department. So that was really fun for me. But really it was the people, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like a weirdo, and 3 times a week I get up and be like, I had an app on my phone, be like, who wants the horoscope read? I know it's bullshit. I know horoscopes mean nothing, but it's fun.
Yeah.
And people would just go with it. So, I mean, it was a fun job. I like that job. It was probably my favorite job I've ever had.
Good. Well, it's good you had a job you liked, but unfortunately, this past summer in July, you were laid off. Now, was that because of COVID, or was it because I know you had said something about a merger?
Oh, those damn T-Mobile people.
I know. Yeah. I am one of the rare and random people who was not laid off because of COVID. I was laid off because of a merger and acquisition during this time. Which also means that, not that there is any unemployment benefit right now, but I would not be eligible for extra benefits because it's not COVID related. They did speed up the process. We were originally told that they would observe us basically for 18 months after the merger, and then they would make decisions. But instead, they just like deleted line items off of the spreadsheet, and I was one of those line items, pretty sure.
Jeez. That's fun when you're just a line on a sheet. Paper.
I mean, I don't know. I thought I was pretty good at my job, but no, they eliminated everyone who had my position.
So, at what point before all this did you end up meeting Dave?
Yes. I met him in February of 2018.
Okay.
So I had my full-time position at Sprint. I had just had it for a couple months.
Okay, so we're coming up on 3 years.
Yeah, almost. Well, I met him in February of 2018, and then there was like kind of a period.
Gotcha. Did you have any serious relationships before him?
Yes.
Okay. Like almost marriage?
No.
Just lengths of time.
Yeah. Lengthy. 5.5 years with like 3 years of my sister telling me to shit or get off the pot.
Gotcha. And you decided to just shit or get off the pot. I don't know which one you did there.
Got off the pot for another like 2.5 years.
Okay.
I don't know, it's really hard. So I'm going to turn this around on you guys, but like, what if you've been in really long-term relationships and you know that it's kind of over, like how do you get out of it?
I got to get past the 1 year relationship first.
Yeah, Eugene just likes to, he uses them and moves on.
Matt has my heart, so I can't,
Eugene prays every day that Michelle is just going to leave me. So, I don't know because I've been divorced. So, obviously it's been there, but that was such a long and drawn out process for both of us and both just being dumb. And, I don't think it really compares. And before that, my longest relationship, I think, was a year or two. So it's, I don't know. I've never had, and it ended ugly because it just ended ugly. So it's like, I don't know. I've never been in that relationship where it's just like, I'm with this person. I think I love them. And then over time I realize I don't.
Yeah.
That's never happened to me. So I don't know.
Yeah. It was just like, look, my ex-boyfriend, we're friends. We're fine. But I must have for a year been like, I need to break up with this guy. Like, I gotta. And then just one night he threw pizza on the floor and I was like, you know what? It's done.
What kind of sick fuck throws pizza on the floor?
The line is pizza on the floor.
Dude, I'm with you. I would do this. If Michelle just like, if I turned around and she had a pizza just like, I'd be like, I'm getting out of here. I'm packing my shit up and walking. You don't throw a pizza, man. Does he think he is Walter White? Unbelievable.
No. That landed on the roof.
Uh, so so what's next for you?
So, good news. I got a job offer.
Woo!
Yeah. So, I actually was supposed to start tomorrow, and I emailed to confirm. I did all the like drug test, background tests like last week. I just
Are you allowed
emailed
to speak about it, or
huh?
are you allowed to speak about it or talk about it, or because you haven't done your first day yet, you can't tell us what it is yet?
I can tell you. I don't care.
Okay.
But yeah, no, my first day is gonna be Thursday.
And what is it that you're going to be doing?
I will be working for Russell Stover Chocolates.
Oh man.
Doing what? Like marketing stuff and
Yes. I'm in the creative department, but yeah, kind of like in between marketing and
cool.
Those damn peanut butter buns he puts out at Easter. Ugh.
Well, hey, just so you guys aren't worried about old Matt, I'll let you know. I got contacted by somebody through Indeed for a position to be a manager at the Lion's Den in Columbus. So,
Oh,
which the Lion's Den is an adult store, so like toys and porn and shit. So,
I see.
which if it wasn't in Columbus, I would probably fucking take the job.
come on, you could be like, look, I'm the manager of the Rubber Dick Emporium.
Dude, I want to be a haggler in a sex shop. Like, no. Listen, you could get 2 of those.
No, I just want to see you like getting in an argument with your employees, coming out of the back room with just 2 handfuls, be like, listen, and just wave them about. If you can't organize these.
I'm tired of cleaning up after you guys.
But
well, that's awesome. I'm happy for you. So when do you start? You're going to start this week or?
Yeah, so I was supposed to start tomorrow, and then I emailed the lady today, and she's on PTO.
Oh, okay. Well, what? Do you really want to work tomorrow anyways?
No, it's a blessing in disguise because now I can watch and hope
Eat
that
popcorn and
nothing
drink.
gets blown up or, people get shot or something. But we've got it all figured out, and I'm just starting on Thursday. So
good.
Yeah.
Fortunately, you'll be able to get trashed tomorrow. What was that, Eugene?
I said a good 2-day week's a good start.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to ask you real quick. Your favorite. I was going to ask you what your favorite place was that you traveled to. Was that the Middle East?
Like my favorite place I've traveled internationally to.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's it. Well, how about this?
I did. I think Morocco.
Morocco. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It was beautiful. The food was amazing. I had a homestay. That was great. So.
And what's the one place that you need to go see in your life that you have not went to?
I'm going to sound like a spoiled, privileged little bitch, but when I was in elementary school, the only thing I wanted to see was Mount Fuji. And then when I was in high school, I went and saw Mount Fuji.
Oh, so you've seen it.
And then my entire life, I was like, the only thing I need to see is the pyramids of Giza. And then in college, I saw the pyramids of Giza. That's not saying that there are not things that I need to see, but
see, I was thinking more like Tahiti, Fiji, the nice huts on the oceans.
Hawaii.
Okay. So that's your next travel goal is Hawaii.
I would love to see Hawaii.
Okay.
Because I've never been on like a volcanic island before.
Okay. All right. So now we've covered your story. Is there anything else about your life that you would like to tell us about, or you feel that we should know?
Oh yeah. So my studio art major, I was actually a ceramicist. And so I make some pretty cool little pots.
Really? Oh, so the hippies, they actually got you started early.
You know, I was at one of my brother's high school parties when I was in middle school, and there was a college girl there who knew that I was into ceramics, and she was like, Kirsten, you should do ceramics, because if you just like make bongs and fire them, you can pay for your college. Of course, I didn't do that, but that is a thing that I was told would be a good life decision.
So do you have a little wheel like in the back that you and Dave sit around and have your little moment, your ghost moment?
A little Demi.
No, unfortunately, it's very messy to do ceramics, and I actually don't think it's that sexy. Although when I was doing ceramics at the Clay Guilds here in Kansas City, I was told that all of the men under 30 were looking down my top while I was throwing. So maybe it's a little sexy. I don't know.
Why all the men under 30? Like with the men over 30 just weren't interested?
They were probably doing it too. I don't know. Actually, I'm certain one of them was.
So in honor of your ceramics, my 7th grade ceramic project. It was supposed to be a bong, but I didn't get the stem in 7th grade.
I don't have any like sitting around me right
God, I didn't even know what a bong was in 7th grade. All right. So now we have like a couple questions that we like to ask all of our guests. And then after that, we're going to get to the wheel.
Okay.
So we'll go first. The first question we have, if you could send a message back to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell them?
Don't quit teaching.
Don't quit teaching. What's stopping you from going back to teaching?
Money.
Is that it? Okay.
Also Betsy DeVos, but she's gone. So
there you go. Maybe things will get better.
Yeah. I mean, like with Dr. Jill Biden in the White House, I feel like I might go back to teaching eventually. Possibly.
Good.
But teachers need to be paid a livable wage to actually make it appealing.
They do. I know. It takes a certain person. Well, that's how they know that people who are teaching now really want to teach.
Right. I was stupid and got like way too many degrees, and I cannot live off of a teacher's salary. I just can't.
Yeah, I understand.
I have to pay off my mountain of student debt.
Well, hopefully in the next couple of years, somebody will come along and help.
Hopefully.
Yeah. If there was one thing that you could change to make our country a better place to live, what would it be?
Free, fair, and equitable education for everyone.
Okay.
And it should not stop at high school. And it should not be solely the traditional high school option that we have. There should be options for vocational school for those who do not thrive in a traditional educational setting.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I agree. I think that's one of the biggest things. What are your values and what are you doing to ensure them?
So I really saw this on the list and I really struggle with this one.
Yeah, that's Brian's that he asked, and he's not on the show anymore. He was fired last week. So if you don't want to answer, you don't have to, because he's dead to the show.
Well, I want to know what happened there, but I would say it's really important to me to follow through for my friends. I don't know. I think that's like, I don't know what I would call that necessarily, reliability.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be there when I'm needed as a support. I also I think you kind of know what I value by now. I value worldview. I value education. I value, honesty.
Typical liberal scum.
Yeah. It doesn't make guys in other countries grabbing her butt kind of values. She don't want that.
Yeah, no, I know. I really don't appreciate it when guys in this country grab my butt either, though. So.
Well, I mean, in general, butt grabbing off the table.
Yeah.
What about when Dave grabs your butt?
That's okay.
Oh, okay, I thought maybe you'd still give him a little guff.
I mean, I'm usually like, hey, what are you doing? Get out of here. But
Fucking pervert, get off me.
little elbow to the chest, you know.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that it is now time for Eugene to have his big shining moment for the episode. Ring. So you know how this works, right?
I've seen it before, yes.
13.
What is it, 15?
13.
13. Jesus Christ. Eugene, you had terrible questions.
I have great questions.
Would you rip one eye out for $5 million?
It's a serious question. She's thinking about it. See?
I'm gonna say $5 million.
$5 million.
I don't think that's enough.
I think that's a fair black market offer. Actually, that's probably on the high end.
Do I get to choose which eye?
Yeah.
Just one of them. Pick one. Like, soon as you rip it right out your skull, $5 million. Poof.
Wait, but I have to do it with my hands?
Well, I mean, you can use a melon baller if you want.
But I can't have anesthesia. Like, it can't be surgical.
No, it's like Saw. Like,
oh, no.
The $5 million is actually behind your eye.
No.
I mean, I guess we could break it down if you had anesthesia to make it. Say we had to go have it surgically removed so it could be transplanted. I will allow.
If it was surgically removed, I think I probably wouldn't do it.
So here, this is interesting. According to this site I just found, a pair of eyeballs on the black market is only $1,500. So $5 million is quite the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anything else you want to know about? A skull with teeth is $1,200. A heart is $119,000. A hand and forearm is only $385.
Man, my insurance people are, I always thought about just, losing a finger because that's like that's $60K right there. I lose this on the job, $60K.
Skin is $10 per square inch.
Ew.
Interesting. Well, hey, you want to get those school loans paid off so you can teach.
Yeah, I think that I got an eye infection once from swimming in Clinton Lake here in the great state of, well, actually that was Kansas, but it made my entire half of my face swell to like this size.
Oh no.
And if I hadn't gone in, I would have gone blind, according to the doctor. But I did, and I went back to school the next day, and the entire whites of my eye was blood red.
Ooh.
But I felt fine. And the children were terrified. It was the best day of teaching I ever had because they listened to me. They thought I was a demon.
See, what you should have done is you should have taught like from the good side. And then if they started getting loud, just be like, who's talking? And then just get them with your eye.
That would have been good. But I like walked down the hallway and like the kindergartners would scream when they saw me.
That's fun. All right. Well, that does it for my questions. Eugene, you have anything that you want to ask?
Oh no, one of my questions got answered, so I'm happy. You said she would do it.
I guess this is one that's could relate to other people. No children. Do you plan on ever having children?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such a reassuring answer. Because, well...
Yeah.
Well, you see...
Do you want children?
Yes. I believe I will probably have children, but I have a lot of friends who are new moms, and they all make it sound like absolute fucking absolutely fucking horrible. And my sister has a 2-year-old, and she just keeps saying to me, the first 6 months are the worst 6 months of your life. Like, just be prepared to be the most miserable you've ever been in your life. And I just don't really want that.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
So
Babies aren't for me. It's okay if my friends have them.
Yeah, I don't even want my friends to have babies. I'd just rather they didn't. I don't want to. I don't want your baby in any way to become a part of my life. So
Well,
you just keep your baby.
see, for me, it's like I said. At 7 in the morning when I punch in, I'll take all your children. But at 3:30, you better come get them.
Yeah, that's the favorite thing that I've posted on Facebook is like I love my nephews. I love like seeing them. I love them getting excited. I like, sitting with them and watching things and teaching them and like all those little happy moments that you get uh, with them. And then I love that at the end of the day, they go the fuck home and I don't have to deal with them anymore. And there's someone else's problem. And I just get to relax. I get to go to bed when I want to go to bed. Of course, we're also dumbasses and we got 4 dogs. So we have a couple issues with peace and quiet. I don't know. I'm hoping it doesn't pick up. But the whole reason I had to get up was to go and shut the other bedroom door because the dog won't shut the fuck up. And it's driving me crazy. So hopefully it didn't pick up on the microphone too much.
oh, you're all good.
Oh yeah, we hear the whole time. Stupid dog. Just...
Yeah, you make me look bad.
I honestly never wanted to have. I never wanted to have kids. I just wanted to be selfish and like live my own life. And then I did this stupid teaching thing and like learned all of this like child psychology and then one of my roommates back in the day was like, you'd be doing a service to not have children who are smart to contribute to the world. And although I think that's a little overblown, I'm kind of like, I do have all of this background. I paid for an entire year of my college by babysitting. Like, I'm good with kids.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, maybe I should have
one. Well, it all depends. You go through phases. And I'm going to say that, I'm 36 years old and I have gone through, I never want to have kids ever. I hate kids to, it wouldn't be so bad. Maybe I could. And then sometimes it gets to the, like right now, and I think this is it for the rest of my life. Like, because I'm older now, I don't want to have kids ever and I never will. But just a couple years, just a few years ago, it was, well, if I had a kid, it's something I'd deal with. It's not the end of the world. But now I'm happy I didn't. But there are times now, like I realize that, sometimes I do feel like there's something kind of missing out of my life. And I wonder if that child, like having a child would like sort of fill that void that I feel sometimes. But I don't regret it either. So,
yeah. I mean, my best friend is 42 and she has chosen to not have children. And part of me is like, if I have a kid, would that really like that she would no longer be my best friend? Would that like completely change the dynamic of our friendship? And that's something I do think about. And it's not like.
Yeah, and a lot of that I think comes down to the person because I know people who have had kids and their life completely changed. They had no time for any of their friends, for any of the stuff they used to do. And I have other friends who they make time, they make a point of it. Brian, who was on the show up until his untimely end. He's got 4 kids, and I talk to him, and every time I go to Connie, I see him more than I do most other people. And it all depends on who you are and if you want to make the effort. So, yeah, having kids isn't the end of the world. It's not going to ruin your life, but
right.
Might not be as fun with them, at least for a while.
Yeah, how's it work? That it may not, it may not end your life, but they'll end your life.
Yeah, I always kind of got this feeling too that it's like, I feel like, and I'm sure I'm wrong, but I feel like once you have a kid, you stop worrying about your life and you start focusing on their life. Like, okay, I've done all that I can. Now I got this other person. I got to focus on them and make sure they have just the best life that they can have. And how do you find the time for yourself? to, you know, do whatever. Like, I feel like you have to be like a success when you have kids. That's just me. We're just chit chatting here.
Yeah.
Having a little chat with Matt.
I like the chat version.
Yeah. Well, that's that. We're here at the end, so I am going to say next Tuesday, a chat with Matt will not be on. Instead, it will be the stream with no name. Is what that's the name I'm going for right now, and it's basically going to be a show where we just we're still working out the format, but I think we're gonna each pick a topic that we want to talk about, and then we're gonna get on and discuss it. We might have a guest on. The first episode might just be me, Eugene, and Brian, which is the reason why Brian is not doing this show anymore, because with 4 kids and going to school full time and a wife working, third shift, he doesn't really have all the time in the world. He only has time for one, so he'll be on that one.
Nice.
I
still like to tell people I won the knife fight.
That's actually yeah. And then this show, A Chat with Matt, is actually going to move to Sundays. Probably more in the afternoon.
Nice.
Eugene and I got to talk about that, but it won't be on this Sunday. It'll be on next Sunday. So that is going to be our schedule. And we would love to have you back sometime, whether this show or the other show, the Stream with No Name. We could just hang out, have some drinks, bullshit. Maybe we can get Dave on and make him jealous about not being on here in the first place.
Right.
Because next week, I haven't found a guest for next week yet, and I'm really I feel like there's such an abundance of men with beards that it's going to have to be one of them.
A man with a beard.
Yeah.
Well, you have the man with the beard who is magically filling my wine this whole time.
Oh, is he just standing out to the side, just like, oh, yes, and then just pouring it in real quick?
I'm like, wine? Wine?
Very nice. He is handy.
Off camera, you see your hand like there.
She just
put it there.
Yeah, she just taps the rim. All right. Well, thank you for being here, and we'll talk to you soon. And you have yourself a great night.
You too. Thank you so much for